All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I mean, it seems like all we've been talking about post-election has been the media distortion, the media coverage, if you will, of Donald Trump and his picks and everything, every move he makes. And, of course, they're trashing and bashing of Stephen Bannon and making him into something that he's absolutely not. Joining us now is Tim Graham, Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center and Executive Editor at NewsBusters.org. Hello, sir.
Hello.
All right, I want to put this up for the folks again. This is the headline that they put out there to prove, quote unquote, that Steve Bannon is an anti-Semite. Bill Kristol, Republican spoiler, renegade Jew. They never show you this next part. Let's put up the next one. Of course, that it was written by David Horowitz, who is a devout Jew, the furthest thing you could be from an anti-Semite. And we had David on at the top of the show. Not only did he reveal that he wrote that headline himself, but he didn't write the headline or the piece for Breitbart. He wrote it for his own website, and Breitbart picked it up. So, I mean, this is just insanity of all insanity.
Well, there's a lot of detail they're going to leave out. I mean, obviously, they usually run this attack on Breitbart by just picking headlines. And if you take some of these headlines, you know, I don't think we should take it seriously when you say, which would you rather have your child have, cancer or feminism? I don't think they were serious, you know, and so they're sort of missing the whole point there, or they're missing the point on purpose. But obviously, Obama had aides like 9/11 truther Van Jones. Anita Dunn was revealed to have given a graduation address where she called Mao Zedong one of her favorite philosophers.
Yep.
I mean, and they didn't find that particularly objectionable. So, but we've got people like Brian Stelter on CNN saying that Bannon's hiring is somehow this is the words he used, national emergency. You know, Hurricane Katrina was not as destructive.
I got to tell you, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be surprised at Stelter, but I mean, he supposedly plays a role there at CNN where his show, Reliable Sources, has a history, and he's supposed to have some little tinge of objectivity or common sense or something, but he's gone off the deep end throughout this whole campaign.
I think he's emblematic of just that whole sort of the media's elitist attitude, that it was the media's job to take Trump down. And when that failed to occur, to double down and say, well, obviously, this only happened because somehow fake news triumphed. So let's go after fake news. And then we end up asking, you know what fake news is? Donna Brazile turning CNN events fake by feeding the questions to Hillary Clinton.
You're absolutely right. Before we get to the poll that you guys did, a great poll on the media, what's your reaction to this move afoot? And I don't know how far they're going to get, or if there's a legal challenge in the offing. But sites like they're going after Google and Facebook, going after what they call fake news sites. Included in fake news sites are Breitbart, the Blaze, a whole bunch of others, and I'm sure, I don't know the whole list, who knows what sites are going to be on it, and they're trying to destroy them financially by adversely affecting the advertising that they get.
This happens at the same time that the Stelter and company are trying to suggest it's highly unprofessional or unpresidential for Trump to tweet out attacks on the New York Times. So I mean, obviously, if you're going to take Breitbart and the Blaze and IJ Review and try to suggest these are fake news sites, I come right back at you and go, with Jason Blair, the New York Times was a fake news site.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you guys commissioned a poll, new post-election poll on what people think of the media. And lo and behold, 7 in 10 voters, 7 in 10, 70% reject the media and see the bias in the media. They do not believe the media is honest and truthful.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, geez, why is MRC paying for a poll like this? And the answer is, again, this is something that's an important point to drive home to the voters that do trust the media. You are in the minority. You might want to reinvestigate. You may want to look a little deeper, because if you're going to go, down to the club and start pronouncing as the fake news from some of these networks is real, starting with Hillary Clinton was 98% likely to win. There was a lot of fake news in this cycle that came from the so-called mainstream media.
Absolutely. Further poll findings, 8 and 10, that's 78% of voters believe the news coverage of the presidential campaign was biased. 3-to-1 majority believing that the media was biased for Hillary. That's 59-21. A third of Clinton voters believe the media were pro-Clinton. That's Clinton voters. 8% of Trump voters said they would have voted for Clinton if they believed everything the media had been saying about Trump. And finally, 97% of voters say that they did not let the media's bias influence their decision. Do you think that's accurate? The last part?
No, between you and me. I think what they might be saying, in response to that question is, I didn't let the media tell me who to vote for. I made up my own mind. And I'll give them that. But we all work in an atmosphere where the media, tries to tell us all the time what we should be talking about, what we should be thinking about, and of course, usually, exactly how we should be thinking about it.
Absolutely. All right, there's a great piece up at NewsBusters.org by you and Brent Bozell talking about how 60 Minutes treated Donald Trump, Leslie Stahl there in action, and how it was nothing like the way they treated Barack Obama.
Well, and remember, in the 2008 cycle, we were talking in this piece just about the post-election interview they did with Obama. But they did 5 interviews with Obama before the election, and they were just a series of sappy softballs where they never asked about Reverend Wright. They never asked anything about a state legislative record in Illinois, not even the abortion legislation, the born alive abortion legislation Obama favored. So it's always funny to see them come at Trump with this kind of aggression.
Yeah.
But this is what 60 Minutes does, is they're seen as hard hitting. Our whole point back in 08 was, they should be called syrupy minutes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let me ask you this. I guess maybe it's tradition, but why wouldn't Donald Trump go on with Sean Hannity, for instance, as his first interview? Why go there, and why do these surrogates continue to show up on these shows, especially CNN, because I watch a lot of that just misrepresent and trash and bash and give them a hard time and talk over them? And what they did to former Congressman Kingston the other day on CNN, you had Charles Blow shouting, liar, 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 over and over again. Why don't they reward the media that, like Hannity, who did nothing but support Trump?
Well, I think it's really hard for them not to do it. I agree with you that I wouldn't necessarily pick 60 Minutes as your first interview. I would totally agree with you on that. I would certainly say that with as much air as Fox News has given Trump, not just this year, not just in 2015, but for years before that, yes, he absolutely probably should have done his first post-election interview on Fox.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, Tim, but I agree. And my first guest on my first show, February of 2013, was none other than Donald Trump, just for the record. Anyway, Tim Graham, always great to talk to you. Check out, folks, NewsBusters.org and the Media Research Center. Great to talk to you, sir.
Thanks.
Up next, my interview with president of the Club for Growth, David McIntosh, and a Give Me 5 you won't want to miss.